Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Fabiana and this is Bridget. Say hi, Bridget. And this is Creative Yarn. So today, guys, I'm gonna show you how to make this beautiful pet vest. Let me show you guys. She doesn't like to be filmed. Oh, look, this is the vest we are going to be making today. This vest is made with a few granny squares around the neck and a tube for the body, okay? To measure the size for this vest, what you need to measure is, you need to measure the length of the tube, which is from the end of the front leg all the way to the beginning of the back leg, okay? For her, it's around 31, 32 centimeters, okay? And then you need the neck diameter to see how many granny squares you need to make. And you also need the diameter of the chest, so around here, okay? Just to make sure the tube you are making is gonna fit your dog. Okay, I already took this measurement, so her chest is around 54 centimeters. She's a small to medium sized dog. And like if your dog's bigger than around 56, 57 centimeters chest, you probably need to make 2 panels instead of a tube, okay? I'm gonna be using my Sentro 48, but if you have a very tiny dog, and I have here, I made for a very tiny dog or even a puppy. This was made on my Sentro 40, so you can see the difference. And I also use 4 squares in this case, but as you can see, my squares, they have only 3 rounds each instead of 4 that I made on this one. Okay, so you can do that too, make less rounds and the same number of squares for this tutorial, okay? So after measuring your dog, you can start making, so let's dive right into it. Now that you measure your dog, you can start making the tube because you already know the length you have to make. We are going to be measuring the length of this tube as we make it. You just stretch it and measure it. And also, if your dog, like my dog is a medium dog, is a small brand of dog, but it is a medium dog. And so I'm gonna be using my Sentro 48 pins, okay? Now you can be using your ADDI 46 as well because the tube's gonna stretch. But if your dog's very tiny, you can use the Sentro 40, okay? So be aware of that. This tube I'm gonna be casting on and working on the tube mode of my machine, and I'm gonna be starting to cast on with waste yarn, and I'll be making 3 to 4 rows, okay? So start casting on, weaving the yarn in front and on the back of each peg. After the last peg, put the yarn inside the yarn guide. I guide with my hands, but you can use the first hole of your yarn tension guide. And make now 3 or 4 rows. Now I decided to use the darker color. As you can see, I have 2 cream colors. I decided for the darker one because, you know, dogs get dirty really fast. So I'm using this one just to match with the squares I already made. And then the other one for the rest of the vest. So I'm going to be making around 6 to 8 rows with this one. And leave enough, we are going to seam with the squares on this side. So leave a long tail so we can seam this with the squares later. Around 1 meter. And then we are going to make, let's make 8 rows with this. put this back to 0, the counter back to 0 as well. And now cut the yarn and change to the next color. Put the new yarn in and make enough rows to get to the size you want. Less 6 at the end because we are going to finish with the same color we started, okay? So I'll be guessing around 50 rows for my dog, but I'll be measuring as I go. And then you can measure as you go this way. Just stretch and then measure. That should work as well, okay? So I'm gonna keep making my rows because I'm making 60 for her. And then I'll be making like 54, 52, and then a few extra rows with this color at the end, just to make the end like this. But if you don't want, if you want to make just a full color, you can make just one color and then just seam with the green squares at the end. And this is a good tip for you guys. When I make my yarn cakes, I just roll the label and I just place inside this way, so I always know which yarn I'm using. And now change to the next color to just finish it off with 8 rows and 60 rows total for my dog, okay? Now leave the yarn attached because we are going to use it next. And then just make a row without the yarn to release the stitches from the needles. And now just remove the stitches with the waste yarn and a tapestry needle. So if you like this content, guys, make sure you smash the like button. It makes a lot of difference for me. And my videos will reach more people. They're all free tutorials for circular knitting machines. And I hope you guys are enjoying it. And now I'm going to just bind off on this side because I have the yarn still attached. And then put the hook through that loop that has the yarn tail attached. Go through the next one. Make sure it's facing this way, like you put it this way so it's not twisted. And then just slip stitch. Now, if your dog's like mine, it has a little bigger diameter. If your dog's tiny, don't worry about that. But if your dog's a little bigger like mine, this will stretch a bit and it has to fit your dog. So this loop has to be really open this way. So when you make it, you don't get tight stitches. Okay, so I need to remove this tail here. A wider loop, the first loop, not the second one, but the first one. The second one you can't really control. And just make this row until you reach the first stitch, and then you can slip stitch here and make a knot. I'm gonna show you quickly. And if you're gonna make an extra edge here, just make sure this fits your dog first before you remove the waste yarn, okay? Because it might not fit because it's you made the stitches too tight, and then you have to reopen and remake the stitches so they are more, you know, stretchy, like the ends more stretchy. So it did fit my dog. I'm going to remove this. And now if you want, I'm thinking I'm gonna make an edge with this color or either the pink color, so I'm just gonna cut this yarn here. And just make the edge later. So I'm gonna show you now how to make the green squares for the neck. Baby, look at her, guys. She's here in the room. Looks like they know that we are making something for them. How cute they are. Baby. So to make this square here, it's a little flower. I chose these colors here of scrap yarn that I had from other projects. You don't need much of these two colors, okay? It's just a little bit. To start making this granny square, I'm going to be making a magic ring. The way I make the magic rings, just this way worked really well for me. That's why I use it all the time. Grab the yarn this way, just make 2 loops. The second loop will go over the first loop. And then you put your hook through, pull the yarn and twist it. And then make a chain straight away after. Like this, just to close it. And that's your magic ring. And now we're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then double crochet. Chain 1, double crochet again, chain 1, double crochet, repeat this 7 times. Chain to finish and slip stitch in the second chain from the beginning. Cut the yarn here. So pull it here to close the ring. Make sure it's tied, and then you can cut that too. Put the hook through and make a slip knot on the other side. And then make sure you work that first stitch on top of that tail. So you're gonna hide it already, like this, and chain 2. And then we're gonna make the puff stitch. So just yarn over, put the yarn and pull, yarn over, put the yarn and pull, yarn over, the yarn and pull. 3 times for this first one because we have that 2 chains on the beginning. And then chain 1, 2, 3, 4 in between the petals. Put that yarn away. And now we're going to make 4 times because we don't have the 2 chains, okay? So in the next chain space, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And pull it here as well. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And repeat the same thing in the next chain space. So we're gonna have 8 of these petals to finish this row, okay? Made my last 4 chains and slip stitch in that first stitch. To cut the yarn off. Now I have 2, 4, 6, 8 petals, and I'm going to start working the leaves. Put the hook through. We are going to work only on the chains here, and then make a slip knot to start the next row. Pull it through. Make sure that knot stays on the back, and make a first chain stitch, and then chain 2 extra chains, and then working on top of that tail, make 2 double crochets. We are going to have 4 of these corners that I'm making now, okay? So it's 3 because the chains count as 2 as a stitch, so 3 double crochets, chain 2, and another 3 double crochets in that same chain space. And now chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just simply skip the next chain space and go to the next one, and repeat the same corner. So 3 double crochets, 2 chains, and another 3 double crochets. Chain 4, and skip 1, repeat the same corner again. So I'm gonna do this 2 more times, and then here I'm going to join the last 4 chains with a single crochet on top, but I'll come back and show you how. So I did chain 4 here, and then I'm going to slip stitch in that first double crochet and finish this row. Now for the last row, I'm gonna be using this color here, the cream color, and I'm going to start in one of the corners again. Just put the yarn through, just put the hook through one of the corner chain spaces, pull it, and chain 1, 2, 3. Okay, now our corner will have 1 stitch less, so I'm making only 1 more double crochet here, and then I'm going to double crochet in the very next double crochet, 1, 2, 3, and then here I'm going to go over these 2 chains here to just join them this way and make a long double crochet. This double crochet has to have the same height of all the other double crochets that are nearby, okay? They are on the side. So I'm gonna pull the yarn a little longer and then pull once and twice. And then go straight to the next. Here you can either put the hook through the chain, that second chain on the other row, this way, and just make 1 double crochet in each one of that double crochets on the next corner. And hide the tail as you go as well. And then in this next chain corner, we are going to double crochet 2, chain 2, and double crochet another 2. Before we had 3, now we have 2. And then double crochet in each one of them. This is our last row. And then double crochet 2 long double crochets, grabbing both of these chain arches we had before. I'm gonna just repeat what I did and then finish it off on this corner here, and then I'm just gonna come back and show you how I finished this. And then finish on the next corner with 2 chains and a slip stitch in that second or third chain on the beginning. And here I'm going to leave a longer tail so I can seam with the other square like this. So like this. So leave a tail around a few centimeters long, you don't need much. And then now I'm going to seam them all as a tube, okay? Now if you have a very tiny dog, again, you only need 3 of these squares, okay? You don't need 4 of them, because otherwise it's gonna be too wide for your dog, the diameter of this tube that we are going to make with these beautiful flowers here. And then I'm just gonna quickly show you a square you can use if you have a boy, okay? Because this is for girls. And so you are going to seam your preferred way. It doesn't need to be this way. You're gonna seam them as a tube side by side, like this. And so you are making 4 for a small to medium sized dog. You are making only 3 if you have a very tiny dog, okay? So I just finished seaming the green squares as a tube here. And now before I did that, I tried seaming 2 full squares with half of the size of my tube, but it wasn't enough to fit the legs around. It was a bit tight, so I'm going to go only from here to here on the square, okay? And if you have a very little pet, probably just 1 square, because you're making 3. 1 square would be enough. So I'm going to start here on this second stitch and go all the way to the other side in that same stitch. And here I'll be using only 18 stitches instead of 24 that I used before. So to give more space for the legs on the bottom, okay? I'm going to be making this stitch here. So you go through 2 of the stitches on the square, and then as you make your way back, you go through the loop you just used before and the next loop, and then the very next loop on the green square like this. I'm gonna put it very close for you guys to see, and then the next loop, the same loop you made 1 time, you're gonna do it twice, and then the very next loop. You're gonna go through every loop twice, in both green square and the knitting. So I'm going to be repeating this stitch all the way until I reach this part here, and you can even like place a marker with the knitting and the crochet together. So when you reach that spot, you have to be in the right place on both knitting and the crochet, okay? So here it is. I seamed just a little bit on the top, and now I reached the second marker there, as you can see. And now I'm just going to make slip stitches to bind off the rest of the stitches. You just put this through this same one, the last one you did, to make the first slip stitch, and then go to the next few ones, making sure it's not tied if your dog's not very little, okay? If your dog's very little, you probably can make it a little tighter, but my dog it wouldn't fit her. So I'm making these loops very large. Okay. I'm going to repeat this all the way to the other side. Just making slip stitches through each knitted stitch to bind them all off. All the way to the other side. Attach. This is that same yarn tail that I have. So if you want to start with a very long yarn tail, so you can do all of this without having to, you know, just make another knot, you can do that too. Like start with a 2 meters tail of yarn on the beginning of the tube. And then I'm just gonna finish it off here. And then probably make a second edge all around it after. Now, before you remove this waste yarn from the inside, just make sure you try it on your dog and it's gonna fit, okay? Because I tried after the first time that I seamed all the way from one side to the other side of the squares and it didn't really fit well. It did fit, but not that well. So I had to undo all the seaming that I did on this side here and redo it again. So make sure you try it on after this. And before you actually remove the waste yarn. And so you can remove the waste yarn this way. So here I added another yarn tail and I'm going to start binding off. I'm going to start making another crochet edge just to avoid that curling that's gonna happen on this side here. So to do that I'm going to just single crochet in each stitch. But as well, you can make a picot if you want, which is 2 chains, and then put the hook through this way, pull it, and again, and then just make 3 single crochets in between each one of these stitches. 2, 3, then 2. And single crochet this way. You can either skip one here, I normally do skip one, and then make 3 and repeat it again. So I'm going to repeat this edge. It looks cute, huh? I like this edge here. So I'm going to repeat this edge around here and then around here on the top. On the top you can probably end around here on the top as well. I'm going to repeat the same edge and I'm going to repeat the same edge on the bottom here, just making sure here on the bottom, if your dog has a similar size to mine, that you make the stitches a little make the loops a little more open this way and don't make the stitches too tight, otherwise you won't fit your dog. He has to be a little stretchy on the bottom, okay? So guys, this is how our vest looks like at the end, just to show you. Brigitte, my model, she is hot, I think. It's a little hot, a little warm today. I added these little pockets at the end with an extra flower that I made. Okay, you can add some plastic bags or something here if you want. Okay, this is the length. I think it's perfect for her. The way I made, just measuring as you make it on your circular knitting machine. Okay, and this is the small size one that I made. I think I made like 40 rows for this one and 4 squares with 3 rounds each. Okay, so you can make 4 small pets as well. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I come back next week with another one. Thank you for watching and I see you on the next tutorial. Bye!